Hello everyone and welcome to our latest 3ds Max Quick Tip, a series of videos from the Pixel Academy that contain handy hints and productivity boosters for the 3ds Max application. In this particular quick tip, we're going to be taking a look at how we can go about merging an already completed particle flow from one Max scene to another without losing any of the dependent elements upon which the flow may be relying in order to work correctly, thereby potentially saving ourselves lots of time at the start of a new project as we use an already existing particle effect as the starting point for a new one. To demonstrate this, we are working here with a blank 3ds Max scene, but we could just as easily be using a scene that has been handed to us by another artist, so maybe the modeling department in our studio, in order for us to begin adding particle effects to it. Rather than starting from scratch then, let's, as we have said, assume that we already have a project archived that we know would make the perfect jumping off point for our new particle effect. Now, one approach that I have seen recommended for this is to use the import and merge commands in Max, and in the merge dialog, locate and select the scene that we want to use, which in this instance is one created for my Learning Particle Flow in 3ds Max 2013 course that can be found on lynda.com and LinkedIn Learning, the scene being a basic find target setup that contains a number of dependent elements if the flow is to work correctly. In the merge dialog now, we can find and select the PF engine option, and once we do, because the display influences option is checked by default, we get to see all of the dependent elements for the flow highlighted in the list. However, if we just go ahead and hit OK to merge the PF engine helper into our scene, you can see that we don't actually bring anything at all in. The reason for this, if I just go back and step through that merge operation again, is that we also need to put a check in the Select Influences option as well. What we see when we click OK now is that all of the elements making up the pFlow system merge into the current scene, so the PF source, any deflectors that may have been used, and even geometry-based elements such as the insect hive here are all brought into the scene, meaning we are ready to repurpose the effect that we already had created, and so aren't wasting any time reinventing the wheel, as it were. The only drawback with this approach is that if I hit the 6 key to open up Particle View, you can see that the flow actually comes in mostly disconnected. And so, in order to get things back to full working order again, we would need to open up the original scene in order to see how to wire the newly created flow together. If we are going to have to do that, then we could perhaps try a different approach instead. And so, with our archived pFlow scene open, let's in this instance open up Particle View, and then from the Select menu, choose the Select All option, after which we can use the Save Selected option from that same menu, calling the new Max scene file that we will be creating Test in this instance. As a word of warning, some Autodesk documentation suggests that using the Downstreams option here is enough to accomplish what we want. That has never produced a usable flow that could be imported into any scene in my test though, and so whilst you may want to give that a try, I would be loath to rely on that approach in a production situation. Having run through those steps then, if I reset Max now, and then run through those same import and merge steps again using the test scene that we have just saved, only this time using the all command to import everything in the list, which, because we saved this out of Particle View, will only be elements from our particle flow. What we see when we open up Particle View now is the exact same flow that we had, only this time all hooked up and ready to go. In fact, if I just set the timeline to run to 500 frames here, we can hit play and see the basic find target effect at work. Until our next 3ds Max quick tip then, this is Brian Bradley saying take care and bye for now.